In this video presentation of Insights with Dickie Joe, we will explore floral and crystal horoscopes revealed. Dr. Dickie Joe will discuss the birth chart as an avenue for directing and blessing positive celestial tides in one's life. This video was created, directed, and presented by Reverend Dickie Joe Mullen.
Astrology, one of the oldest of scientific studies, draws upon the energy of the cosmos and wisdom of the stars to understand and cope with the world around us. There's so many different applications of astrology, but one of the most beautiful and useful ones might be to use the crystals and flowers in our birth charts to create a healing and positive atmosphere. Astrology relates to everything. It relates to birth charts for places, birth charts for pets, the right time to buy a home. There are so many applications, but creating healing, driving away negativity, spiritual blessings, that's called esoteric astrology, might be a particularly good way to use the wisdom of the stars in our complex and changing world. Flowers. The presence of flowers uplifts and commemorates memorable occasions. A bouquet will brighten a dark and empty room. Flowers added to an altar or memorial as a tribute will express appreciation and honor. Blossoms linked to the presence of higher and more subtle realms suggest, elm tree too. I have a group of friends who have a social circle called the Sublime Elms. I think that's why I slipped. And they relate to the spiritual qualities of trees. But we call in angels, fairies, and other spiritual forces. They're attracted to the color, fragrance, and life force emitted by flowers. No one would dream of having a seance without having flowers as an offering to the spirit world. Selecting a flower that represents one's zodiac sign and then adding the blossoms related not only to the sun sign or basic birth sign, but those of the moon or ascendant can be combined to create a birth sign flower bouquet. Perhaps there's an astrological sign that is weak in your own birth chart, and you'd like to accent the qualities which it can develop. Place a related flower in a vase and observe the prompt changes it brings into the atmosphere. Flowers have a gentle sorcery. It's beautiful, yet very powerful in combining the magic of plants with the celestial influences of the stars to protect your world. Tulips relate to the qualities of imagination and perfect love, and they're apropos to the birth sign of Aries. This is a portrait of a floral horoscope that I did for Jessica, featuring the tulip, which is her Aries sun sign, as an example. The sign of Taurus relates to Iris, and the qualities are eloquence as well as wisdom. Gemini is the rose for innocent charms and beauty. The sign of Cancer is the lily for purity and persuasion. One of the most beautiful and powerful symbols of the lily is the lotus. There are many different types of lilies, and the lotus particularly ties in with universal love. The sacred lotus flower, the flower of Cancer, the sign of the lily, rises from a long taproot anchored in the most murky and muddy of waters. Floating lightly and triumphantly, this bright, lovely lily will open to the sky as it brings its subtle message of purity and persuasion. The lotus has been favored as a sacred representation of beauty for at least 5,000 years. There's a goddess statue dating back to about the year 3000 BC with lotus blossoms in her hair. It was unearthed in the Indus Valley. The beloved Chinese goddess Tara is also named Lotus. A marvelous lotus creation myth comes to us from India. It dates from about 800 BC in the Brahman's manuscript. An early account tells of how a golden lotus with 1,000 petals expanded to cover the entire universe and opened its life force to the whole world. Statues and paintings often show the Buddha seated upon a lotus. His classic cross-legged position is called the lotus posture by yoga practitioners. Purity, spirituality, gentleness, and compassion are signified by this fairest flower from the Far East. The cup of the lotus suggests the restoration of the sun's life at dawn. We can see a parallel with the birth sign of Cancer as the moon sets and the new dawn arises. There's a promise of resurrection and immortality suggested. The flower is thought to hold the souls of the dead before opening its petals to release them to heaven as they seek nirvana in the afterlife. The lotus is the very essence of enlightenment in your floral bouquet. It's been used to charm, to draw fame, longevity, purity, abundance, fruitfulness, and other desirable attributes. It has genuine healing powers. Every portion of the plant can be either consumed as a food or used as a medicine too. Our medicine should be our food should be our medicine, and in the astrology of flowers, many flowers provide not only a source of spiritual nutrients, but also foods. More about that in a minute. The story of the sacred lotus embodies various lily symbolisms from all around the world. We have the Christian Easter lily, the French fleur de lis, as well as the famous lily cup carried by Hercules, and an Assyrian sacred seal, showing figures bowing before the lotus. These are just a few examples. In Egypt, the shape of the river Nile has long been portrayed as a beautiful, life-giving lotus. The flower appears in many ornamental patterns in Egyptian art. Of course, the roots are the tributaries. The main stem would be the river Nile. The mummies are a promise of eternal life and often are decorated with lilies. Found in a variety of colors from red to white, blue and yellow, the lily is shaped like a large wheel. The system of the 7 chakras, which represents the glands in the human body, are traditionally described as lotus or lily blossoms. They flower within each of us, expressed through different hues and the numbers of petals in the chakras. The message of the lotus celebrates and honors the human potential to grow and blossom. It encourages rising above the sum total of all of our experiences and reminds each of us to draw the good from the bad, to illustrate divinity of both purity and persuasion. Held up with beauty and dignity no matter what, whispers the sacred lotus or lily. The idealistic symbolism elevates human nature. Observe it as an example of what flowers can bring into your life. It serves as a reminder of the brightest and the best, the highest standards and aspirations. Following the lily, we have Leo's flower, the sunflower. This is popular in the spiritualist faith, and the sunflower is all over. If you visit any spiritualist camps or churches, we have Casadega here in Florida, and beautiful sunflower artwork is all over the camp. The sunflower is the flowering of the spiritual light and awakening. The heavy head of the sunflower turns as it follows the light. And we have here a floral bouquet can we see it? Okay, here we are. We have here a floral bouquet for somebody who was born with the sun in Capricorn and with an Aquarius ascendant and a Leo moon. And the Leo influence is emphasized by the sun. This is a healing gift for a favorite person with these astrological attributes. And as the flowers affect the atmosphere, they're designed to draw good energy into his life and to his workplace. And part of the beauty of fresh flowers is their ephemeral quality. They're not with us forever, and so they can be portrayed in artwork. This is one of my floral horoscopes that shows also a watercolor of the different flowers in this floral bouquet. The sign of Virgo, the flower is the morning glory. It represents creativity and persistence. Libra, we have the pansy with its beautiful face. It shows friendship, knowledge, and relief from loneliness. The sign of Scorpio, the exotic and mysterious orchid for refinement and beauty is your flower. Sagittarius, a floral horoscope featuring the jasmine, qualities for desirable and the best associates. Capricorn, your sun sign flower is the carnation, which is very long-lived. Many centurions are Capricorns. There's some speculation this might be the longest lived of the sun signs. Its flower certainly is, and its energy and success. Bringing our floral bouquet back, we can see I've added white carnations here for the Capricorn flower. Aquarius is the tiny snowdrop. That's a very fragile flower. It represents hope. So other small white flowers can be substituted. We have baby's breath here. Also tiny white daisies would be apropos, or other small white flowers for an Aquarius influence. For Pisces, the violet, which represents dignity and gentleness. So, there are alternative flowers suggested for the different zodiac signs, but this gives you an idea about how you can, in a beautiful and easy way, draw out the brightest and best potentials in your birth chart. Beyond flowers, there are also crystal wheels that can be named. We might have all had a favorite birthstone ring or heard of birthstones at some point. And the tradition of talismans that create qualities of courage or assure protection or draw fidelity or wealth are legendary, and they each tie in with the different birth signs. Under the sign of Aries, one of the prominent stones will be the tiger's eye agate. This was willing to go to battle, a lodestone for strength, clear crystals, and also diamonds for truth, the future, energy, and glory. The fire agate, too, which is progressive energies. Under the sign of Taurus, a green emerald for true spiritual love, clear vision, a moss agate or tree agate to connect with the gardens and natures, Connemara marble, national stone of Ireland for creating a comfortable environment and good luck, chrysocolla, a beautiful green stone for Mother Earth energy, identify with the sign of Taurus. We have here a crystal wheel horoscope for somebody born under the sign of Aries. April 15th of 1977, Jessica was born, and this is a crystal wheel completely showing the different cusps of her birth chart. And as an Aries, she has a 7th house sun. I have the diamond here, and then a clear sun crystal to show her sun sign. Her ascendant or rising sign is Libra, and this is a tourmaline spiral in green and watermelon pink. In her first house, she has the planet Pluto, and I have a fossilized shark's tooth symbolizing that. In her second house is Uranus, and there's a very eccentric loop stone that sort of helps to show the sign of Aquarius. The Uranian quality there. The different prominent positions are here. There is a vintage blue star from the 1950s with a glyph for Aries in the middle. At her midheaven, we have a star with a ruby for the sign of Cancer. Her Neptune is down here in her third house, and that's symbolized by a seashell. We have a vintage heart bead. She has Venus conjunct the Sun in Aries, which would indicate that. Her moon is in Pisces, and here is a moonstone to describe that. The different qualities are here shown in her birth chart by the crystals. This is for Jessica to hang in her home or her office as a good luck symbol to bring her joy and good fortune always through emitting the qualities of her birth chart through the world of crystals and stones. We have another example here for Lewis. Lewis is a Virgo, and he was born on September 16th of 1934, and his crystal wheel horoscope has a vintage blue star with the Virgo symbol in the middle. His rising sign or ascendant is Gemini, and so we have the citrine, the crystal for Gemini here. And he has quite a lot of Libra in his birth chart. I used a rose quartz here to symbolize his Venus, for example. And he has a 10th house sun, which we have a silver star here to symbolize the prominence of the sun. He has a very strong third house, and the qualities of the third house are shown by the placements for the part of fortune and his moon node with vintage beads of apropos crystals. Going through the meanings of the other crystals just a little bit more. The sign of Gemini relates to the citrine for mental clarity, and the alexandrite, a beautiful purple stone, for functioning on a high level, the rainbow bridge stone or rhodochrosite to transmute energy, which is on the path of the dualistic Gemini. The sign of Cancer, we have the ruby to banish grief and draw friends, the pearl for emotional expression, and the moonstone for intuition and intuitive development. Leo, we have the sunshine hues. You're ruled by the sun, and so the amber, which cools anger, the sunstone for health and success, and then also the green peridot or peridot, pronounced both ways, for contentment with your lot in life. Leo's always dramatic, wants the brightest and the best. So the peridot makes you happy with what you have, which is true riches. Virgo, the sapphire, which is white magic, protective love. The carnelian agate to guard health, always a popular Virgo concern. And the fluorite as a stress reliever. Libra, colors are bright blue, rose pink, lavender, the rose quartz for love, beauty, good manners, the jade for riches and longevity. Jade has a special quality with the Far and the Middle East, and that part of the world is a tie with Libra, so jade is extremely good. Jade, if you're going to only include one stone in a wheel, is good because it covers almost everything from riches to health to longevity. The tourmaline, which I used on Jessica's ascendant, protects from negative people, negativity in general. Scorpio, the topaz, rapport with animals, inspiration. You're almost the only sign that can use an opal. Opal is one of the heavies of the gemstone world, and it does often bring bad luck to many people. But for you Scorpios, it's psychic ability and inner guidance. Petrified wood, which can be very beautiful as a gemstone and included in a crystal wheel horoscope, is good. The bloodstone, which guards the health, and the beautiful clear blue obsidian, which comes from way beneath the earth out of a volcano, represents hidden and inner power. Sagittarius, the turquoise, Native American gemstone of wealth and talisman, is apropos to you. The malachite, stone of education and adventure, and the jasper for freedom and independence. Again, it's perfectly acceptable. All of the zodiac signs appear somewhere in your birth chart, if only on a house cusp, and if there are certain qualities that one wants to enhance, the gemstones can help to do that. Capricorn, the garnet, which has a very kind of stuffy Victorian energy, but it's good for friendship and virtue. The onyx, this is another heavy in the gemstone world. It can represent breaking up of relationships, but for Capricorn, you can wear it for grounding. The snowflake obsidian, that's a black stone with little flecks in it to avoid disaster. And jet, a beautiful black stone we don't see that often anymore for luck and longevity, the kunzite. One of the most popular stones that many spiritually inclined people like is the amethyst. It's the actual birthstone of Aquarius, and the purple color is spirituality. At one end of the visible light spectrum is the spirituality. It brings freedom from addictions. Anyone who's struggling with addiction, the word amethyst actually means not drunk in Greek, and the story is that Bacchus, the party god, poured wine over a clear crystal and turned it purple, and ever since then we've had the amethyst. Also the moldavite, wisdom from aliens. That's a stone that's fallen from outer space. It comes mostly from Czechoslovakia. Interesting place for it to come. The Pisces stones and colors are pastel shades of pale blue-greens and lavenders. The gems are aquamarine, which means seawater, safe passage over the sea. Larimar, an Atlantis connection, newly discovered beautiful blue stone from the Caribbean countries. Celestite, a beautiful light blue form of quartz for angelic influence, and smoky quartz, which I've featured in the crystal wheels, which are very protective. Coral isn't strictly a gemstone, it's really more of a shell, but we class it with the gems as a promoter of love. Looking a little bit at the crystal and floral wheels and what the whole horoscope might include are these. Here's Jessica again with her Aries symbol featured in the ram on the front of her folder. And then I have a full write-up about her birthday horoscope. Her birthday is quite recently. This is called a solar return. There's a special horoscope that's done on or near the birthday called the solar return. It's when the sun gets back exactly to where it was when someone is born. And then this is the meanings of the different placements specifically in her birth chart, the way they might appear. Copies of her horoscope, and I'm featuring something very special for her this time, an aura painting. It's all part of the whole. The tarot cards, meditation, seances, it's all part of the greater field of parapsychology, the study of the paranormal. The aura is the vibrational field we all have. And as we're filming, this is the year of a political election, and people who go around to the various political rallies will say certain candidates project an aura, an energy field. This is the life force. If one rubs the hands together, moves them apart a little bit like this, I'll demonstrate. Sometimes it's easy to feel the life force. That's the halo we all see around angels or saints. Upon meeting a new person, some might project an energy of success, warmth. Those that have visited the Pope claim that he emits this energy. We all have our own life force. In a dream a while back, this form came to me. The orange represents the life-giving energy from the sun, the source of all life on our planet. The star here is the unknown and mystical influences of distant space. There's a saying that inner space is greater than outer space. So I have a drawing of inner space. The sparkles represent that divine spark or gift of life. Looking at oneself in a mirror by dim light, moonlight, or candlelight, especially near a full moon, breathing in and out. It might be possible with a light background behind you, a white wall, or maybe a white towel hanging on the wall, to see kind of an incense smoke. That's the inner color. That's that vibrational field you might feel from persons of a lot of energy or just a new acquaintance. And it's actually visible. And most of us can see the incense smoke quality with a little bit of effort. People who have the dubious gift of being nearsighted, as I do, are supposed to have an advantage. At least it's good for something in being able to see auras. And the colors of the different auras can come in. I use different colors of paints and pastel crayons to draw the aura portrait. And when Jessica comes in for her reading, I'll be drawing this in order to describe what her aura looks like. Now, like the weather changes outside, sometimes different colors come into the aura, but most of us will have a prominent color, or maybe 2 or 3 of them. The colors closest to the head are that inner circle of personality that it takes a while to get to know, or the inner secret self. The colors fanning further out, which usually span 3 to 6 feet in an egg-shaped sort of an aura, will describe the part of us that the other world sees. Just briefly going through the colors in the aura, red is a very powerful color. It shows willpower, leadership, physical vitality. Someone asked me recently if I could see the Donald's aura on TV, Donald Trump, who's a popular figure right now. He has a very deep red, maroon quality, which is intense, but it is in the red color frame. White as an aura is very unusual. A very young child will have a white aura. It's sheltered, innocent, idealistic. People who have adults with a mental deficiency, the very innocent, retarded people, might have a white aura. Also, angels and saints, elevated beings, are reported to emit a white radiance. Blue is a very popular color. Dedicated workers in social work, law-abiding people, people with a highly developed social consciousness will have shades of blue in the aura. It's the dominant color in modern life. Green is another very predominant color. Green is the color of the healer, someone who might love nature, also be very cultural. It is the color of money, seeking security emotionally and financially. Orange I call the Charlie Brown aura. It's friendly, purposeful, cheerful, sense of humor. Yellow aura is prominent in the auric fields of intellectuals, also original, expansive people, a lot of writers and teachers, and people of above average intellect will have yellow in the aura. Purple is the color of the mystic. It's spiritual, very original, high charisma level. Purple is listed as a favorite color by more people now than anyone else. I don't see a lot of it, though, in the auras, sometimes flashes of it, which is interesting. Maybe it's something we're all seeking. A brown aura actually is quite common. It's a quiet, practical, reserved person, very down to earth. Now, contrary to first impressions, one might think a black aura is bad. It isn't, though. Think of all the religious orders that wear black robes. The black aura is dignified, stable, focused, conventionally oriented, very, very intense aura, very reserved, set on a certain path. But don't think of it as a bad person if you see a black aura. Gray or silver can appear if someone is very worried, a victim of abuse, self-protective, tense, or cautious. As a spiritual reader and counselor, I deal with the many times with victims of abuse, particularly spousal abuse, and I can tell immediately if it's a genuine case of abuse when the person walks in the door of my office from a certain silver gray quality that I see in the aura. I always have my antenna up when I see that color. Also, there's a certain shade of yellowish green that shows a very negative person, a very jealous person. It's not like the green-eyed monster in emerald or Irish green. It's more like a sick greenish yellow. I watch out for that color. And a very dark brick red. I'm not sure if the Donald's is quite that dark, but a very, very dark brick red, like a brownish red, is prominent in the auric fields of those who incline toward violence, who are genuine criminals. I got off jury duty once when they asked what I did for a living. I told them, and then I said I could decide right away by the aura of the person who was being accused which way I would vote, and I was out of there before you could see auric field and able to go down and get some popcorn and go home. So I know if you want to get off jury duty, I don't know if we should really do that. I actually was kind of looking forward to the experience, but I'm out of there for good. That's all right, though. At any rate, in exploring the energy around us through colors in the aura, through crystals and flowers, is a way to use astrology in the field of the paranormal in order to enhance our lives. Briefly, here is also a reading prepared for Monica, born under the birth sign of Taurus. And I have prepared a long reading for her using her flowers and using her crystals, going over the birth chart interpreted for both the future and her Celtic zodiac sign and her Chinese zodiac sign are included. And this is something called an astrological mandala for meditation, which we'll address in an upcoming tape. The mandala is a word that means circle, and it was used by Carl Jung and other prominent psychologists as a theme of exploring the inner self, what our higher self is telling us. This is a circular mandala created by the path of Venus around the sun on her birth date, and it's good for meditation, finding one's place in the universe, to focus on the red dot and follow it around, close eyes, go within to find the self. This is astrologer Dickie Jo Mullen. It's been lovely spending the afternoon with you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming videos.